If you are over the age of 35, stop everything you're doing right now. After a lifetime of eating fatty foods, you may run the risks of a stroke or heart attack due to plaque buildup in your veins and arteries. To learn how you can reduce your risks, visit youthfountainlab.com or call 1-800-853-7856 today. This may be a life-changing call for you or someone you love. Thank you, and we hope to hear from you.
Benny Lasbury was a young, poor African-American kid who inadvertently got caught up in the mob when he came to the aid of a mafia captain under the attack by a group of assassins. Benny saved the man's life, and in return, he becomes the head of the mafia's drug operation. Buy the House of Lasbury in the description box.
A couple weeks ago, we had you on, and we talked about Kwame Brown. Now, Kwame Brown was on his platform and making a lot of headway. He was talking about Stephen A. He was talking about Charlemagne. He was really getting a lot of people's attention. And during that podcast and during that segment, we all collectively saluted Kwame Brown for his efforts and his actions. Now, the day after, he goes on YouTube and he has some very disparaging remarks about you. And I like to say first, it kind of confused me because I thought that he was going off of our initial interview that we had done with you just because it was hours removed from it. But it was from what you said in your car about him using the N-word in particular in his title. And he goes on to say that you are old school version of the go along, get along gang, that you've had things about you from this, and this just carries this firestorm from his followers and different people of basically saying, yes, this, we hate Dr. Boyce too. Man, talk us through it, man. First off, clear the record on the conversation that you had or in your car in regards to the title, and just talk about the backlash you received after.
Well, when that happened, I had people that hit me up that were confused, because they said what just didn't surprise me. They said, well, I watched your video and you didn't seem like you were dissing Kwame. You were supportive. And so I don't understand where that came from. And I was the same way. I was like, yeah, I don't have an issue with Kwame. I don't understand where that's coming from. And I think that maybe he was feeling a little under attack. Maybe he was feeling like everybody was out to get him, and I wasn't out to get him. That statement about, like, I don't take back anything that I said in the original video because it was true. I think he took the advice. He took the N-word out the title, because the thing about it is that he was setting so many fires and hitting so many targets. It's just little things like that I was like, well, you got to be careful, man, because that could, they'll come in, they might take your channel down. I would hate for them to do that, right? So I guess I see it as a misunderstanding. I know somebody sent him a text and said, was like, this ain't it. Like, this is not the guy. And Kwame just kind of said, okay. The guy sent me the screenshot of the short conversation, and I think, like, if you're shouting out, Dr. Claude Anderson, Judge Joe Brown, I forgot something else that he was talking about. It's like we're speaking the same message. We're on the same team, and so I don't know what to say about it. I got a lot of trolling because of it, and I really chalk it up honestly to the fact that people just, there are some people that just follow the crowd. Whatever the crowd's saying, they're just gonna repeat that. And it don't bother me, man. It's life. You know what I mean? And here's the other thing too. When you talk about if you assume that Kwame was shooting at the wrong target, I can't sit here and pretend like I don't understand that to a point, because I did that. I shot at Russell Simmons, about 15 years ago. I went real hard at the rush card, harder than I needed to. And I didn't know Russell at the time. I didn't know much about I knew what he was doing, but not enough I could have said it different, right? And I met Russell years later, and we worked together on a project, and I was real impressed with the humility he showed by being able to forgive and forget. I said, man, that's manhood right there. No, don't get me wrong. I don't know nothing about all the other stuff going on with Russell's life. I don't know him like that, but he showed real integrity when we worked together on the mass incarceration project in 2013. And I learned from watching that experience, So, really, I can understand why this mistake happens. And I really think, when you hit that so-called OG status, sometimes people make, mistakes are made, so that's all it is. It's no hard feelings, man. I'm built for it. It's not a big deal.
Right now, did you ever behind the scenes get a chance to message or talk to Kwame at all? Or you guys just kind of just let it go?
Nah, I know people that know him, and we haven't talked. But if he ever wanted to come on my podcast and talk, he's welcome. If he ever wanted me to come through and rap with him, I'd do that. Our styles are probably a little bit different. And I can't go. I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want it to come off as criticism. But it's like from what I have seen, it's like kind of roasting and going after a lot of people. And I think that there's a point where you've got to kind of like pull ranks back in and really say, okay, what are we going to really build for the community? Like we've made it clear what we hate, what we don't like. Now, what do we love? What are we going to fight for? What are we going to build? And I think Kwame gets that, right? And I'm not even going to say he's not a builder in areas of his life. I'm not saying that at all. But I think that just generally as men, there's a point where we got to say, okay, we've roasted everybody, right? Now let what are we going to build for the community? And I'd like to see some of that happen over time.
Yeah, we were just having that same conversation here. We talked about with the YouTube thing and the Facebook, sometimes people who are not used to getting that, initial rush of fame, whether it be 10, 20,000 people supporting you. Some people, I think, don't think before their actions. They see something and they just jump on it and go. And by the next thing you know, everybody's getting behind it with that. So I think, in my opinion, that Kwame kind of got caught up in the fame and the rush to judgment, the whole situation. And I articulated that in the platform a couple of times myself. So.
Yeah, I felt that way too. Because he was doing his videos for a couple of years, and for some reason it just caught fire. Like all of a sudden, really it was similar with him, Kevin Samuels, and Tekashi 6ix9ine. Those are three guys where they were doing content and doing okay, right? But then suddenly it was like boom, and this, and when that happens, I don't know. I can't think of too many times where that specific thing has happened. I've had different things, things occur, but it does kind of shift where suddenly it's like, oh, everybody's now paying attention.
Yep.
And you have to really be thoughtful about how you proceed from that point, but I'm not being critical of it. It just is what it is.
Yep. One of the criticisms also that Kwame Brown gave to you and that we've seen throughout comments and that we were also given criticism of is a lot of talking, but no action. You've done a lot of talking, but what are you doing? Talk about it. What are you doing?
Me personally, I take pride in the fact that I've employed dozens of Black people.
Indeed.
I don't talk about it much, but there's dozens of people that can pay bills because, I gave them a job. I know another thing too is everybody talks about, a lot of people talk about how much they love Powernomics and Dr. Claude Anderson. But a lot of the celebrities will call them on the phone. But my question is, how many of these people are writing a check? Like if you really love and support something, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Yes, sir.
White folks do that. They'll build churches and foundations and think tanks and all kinds of institutions and the universities, stuff like that. And I think for us, we got to learn that an aspect of economic maturity is the ability to manifest and create and build up the things you believe in. Like there should be a Powernomics university that's got a $10 million a year budget that the community is backing up, And so in terms of things that we've done, we taught 1 million Black people how to buy their first share of stock. That's going to make a major impact on Black wealth this generation and the next. The Powernomics Corporation, we probably put about $300,000 or $400,000 into the Powernomics Corporation, just buying Dr. Claude Anderson's books. Ice Cube and I hit Ice Cube up and I said, look, I think it's great we're shouting him out, but we should support this and let people know we're supporting this. And Cube is solid. He came right through. And actually Cube is another guy I think Kwame gave a positive shout out to. So we got all the same friends. So there's no reason for us to be in any sort of disagreement. And Cube followed through. And I think that's what we need to look for. And that's really an important aspect of manhood that I've been trying to encourage people to consider. When you talk about the men in the community, the men in the family, and I was defining manhood for our 18-year-old, I would almost say that manhood should be shaped by, whether or not the people in your space are better off because you're there. Like, have you made their lives better in some way? Have you made them feel safer? Do they feel like they can depend on you? Are you coming through for them? And so when you talk about the men in the Black community or the men in our families, I really think that we should kind of figure out what that standard kind of looks like. What does it mean for a man to protect and be there for his kids? What does it mean for him to be there for kids that are not his own? What does it mean for him to be there for his woman? What does it mean for him to be there for the community? And because a lot of guys think manhood is just saying I'm a man and doing a lot of talking. and you got a lot of talkers out here, but not a lot of doers. I believe a man should be a builder as well.
Agreed. Now, one of the other things that people continue to say, and I want to, ask you about this. They keep saying, "Oh, Dr. Boyce Watkins is a scammer." I know I don't want to disrespect you asking you that, but
no,
people are saying that a lot. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on that when you hear that from people?
I think that the people that say that, they don't have any evidence of any of that. Like, there's nothing. It's just like people think it's true because somebody said it, but really, if you talk about certain people that might say that, those are people that used to get money from us. So it's like if we're scamming people, then you must have been in on it because you were happy when we were paying you and taking care of you. And what happens is that, sometimes with certain people that I've worked with, if the energy's bad, like if I see you abusing other Black people or doing something that I consider unethical, I will cut you the fuck off. It's time for you to go. I don't want nothing to do with you. So then what people will do is, now that they're on the outside and screaming for attention, they'll say, "Oh, he's a scammer. He's he's this, he's a bastard, he's blah, blah." And I'm not responding to that. Right. But at the end of the day, just know, some of these situations are more complex than people think. It might be somewhere somebody violated their contract. We had an agreement that was on paper. You violated it. Well, now I'm done with you. So I personally think if there is, evidence of this sort of thing, then fine. Take it to law enforcement. Take it to the court of law. Right. Deal with it that way. But just saying somebody's scamming does not make it true. And also the other thing, too, is that when you're Black and you're not struggling, like you're not broke like everyone else or like certain other people, there are people that are going to assume that you must have cheated to get ahead. It's like, no, I have assets. I have a portfolio. I make my money on the stock market. I don't even make the bulk of my money from the internet. Because you don't want, it's a volatile, crazy space. So, overall, I would say that's just what it is. The internet energy can get real toxic because you got a lot of mentally ill people in our community, and that's what you're seeing just on full display.
Definitely. I want to expound on that because that actually brings me to my next point. And that's something that I feel like plagues our community is when we have somebody in our community that achieves a certain level of success, we automatically, and I'll put us all as a whole, equate it to selling out. Prime example, selling ad space on platforms because we have the opportunity and the blessing of seeing people seeing value out of that. So they want to put a little bit into that and they'll go, "Oh, you're sellouts. Oh, y'all got more advertisements. Oh, shit, y'all must be selling out. Oh, no, the elite must have got them. All this, all that." Why do we do that within our community with each other, in your opinion? Right. Once we've seen a level of success, whether it be minuscule or mountaintop, we always equate it to selling out.
It comes from an unhealthy kind of crabs in the barrel phenomenon that develops when you really just worldwide, you have a divide between those who have more of a socialist, communist, leftist mindset and those that have more of a Black nationalist builder mindset, building businesses and stuff like that. There's rarely anybody that ever becomes a millionaire or a billionaire or runs a business that doesn't have somebody out there screaming, "Oh, you're a scammer," or "Oh, you're exploiting people," or "Oh, you're doing this to your workers." And the thing is that that's never going to go away, no matter how good you try to be, no matter how much you say, "I want to be a good guy, I want to be a good, boss. I'm going to give them more, give them bigger raises or whatever," to the point where I go bankrupt because you're trying to prove to people that you're a good person. And I think that there's a point where you have to have that internal compass. You have to decide, am I a good person or a bad person? And then at that point, focus on building the thing that you think is going to help the community the most. Because it's very hard to be a good king and also be seen as a good man at the same time, because the king has to make hard decisions. Sometimes the king is like, "Look, if I don't do it this way, the whole village is going to die. So I gotta go take care of the village, even if people get mad at me for what I got to do." Right. So I think that for you guys or anybody that's building a business, I think you just accept it. Like the bigger you get, the more you're gonna have just as many people that are mad at you as you have people that love you. I focus on the people that love me, and the people that get what I'm doing, and so I'm not gonna say that sellouts don't exist, but if all I got to do to get you off your game is to call you a sellout or whatever, and then get you to throw away everything you got, then that means that you have to be a little firmer in your conviction to just accept the idea that you're not going to be loved by everybody. That's just not going to happen. Barack Obama is hated by half the country. Half the country thinks he ain't shit. half the country thinks he's great. He focuses on the people that thinks he's great, and that's the right strategy for him. So because we can't build businesses in our community if all the business owners say, well, gosh, I feel guilty because, even though you worked harder, you took risks, you made investments other people didn't make, but you're feeling guilty because some person who never accomplished anything is mad at you. It really, if you think about it, if you remember Michael Jordan in his documentary, when he was talking about how people said he's mean and he yells at players and all that, and that might be true. We know Michael Jordan has a reputation of being a bastard, but Michael also made a good point where he said those people never fucking won anything. And they don't understand that when you're trying to get out here and win, you're gonna have some people that are gonna get mad. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Just as long as you're not, going outside of ethical boundaries. I think that's an individual's decision to judge. You can't let other people judge that for you, or they will drive you insane.
If you're over the age of 35 and over the years you've eaten pizza, dairy foods, deli meats, or meats with fat, you are likely to have some degree of plaque buildup in your veins and arteries. This increases your risk of suffering a stroke or heart attack exponentially, and no one wants such a catastrophic event to occur. Introducing Blackout. Blackout is made of all natural ingredients proven to help dissolve clots in the blood, remove calcium deposits and plaque from the walls of veins and arteries, improve viscosity of the blood, improve elasticity of the veins and arteries, treat varicose veins, and prevent the reoccurrence of plaque buildup. For more information, visit Youth Fountain Laboratory at youthfountainlab.com or call 1-800-853-78